Call to order the Finance Committee meeting of the New York City Municipal Water Finance Authority, and it's for a roll call.
Lily Hartzog.
Hernandez from Lily Hartzog.
Basil Segos.
Robert Elburn for Commissioner Segos.
Max Von Holly.
Here.
Jack Sheehan.
Jacqueline Gold for Jack Sheehan.
Susan Sapienza.
Joe Mura for Commissioner Sapienza.
Mark Shaw.
Yes.
Deanna Horn.
Okay, first order of business is approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 28th. They have been circulated. We need a motion and a second to discuss the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
They've been circulated. Are there any changes or comments? If any opposition to approving the proposed resolution? I'm not hearing any. It's approved. So then we're going to do resolutions 2, 3, and 4, which all basically relate to one transaction that's coming up at the end of the month. And so Olga's going to take you through the combination of the transactions, and then we'll do the resolutions one by one.
Okay, so that's exactly right, and that's why, we thought it might make sense to talk about the transaction first, so that you have the background for all three at the same time. So the transaction we're talking about is issuance of bonds to New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, EFC. And the transaction has two purposes. One is to refund outstanding bonds for savings, and those are estimated at around $65.8 million or 22.8% of refunded bonds on present value basis. And the second component of the transaction is to refund outstanding bond anticipation notes. So as we have done for many years now, we first borrow on an interim basis from New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation in the form of bond anticipation notes, and then we refinance later on those notes with long-term bonds. So that's the second part of the transaction. The reason we need 3 series instead of a single series is because there are some structural and functional elements that make sense to do this into 3 separate bond series. Series 2 structurally will mirror EFC's bonds that EFC will be selling to the public. Series 3 and 4 will be structured as direct loans from the corporation. And the direct loan lending allows corporation to deliver to the authority subsidy that is the programmatic benefit of participating in the program for the authority. Just to refresh, for certain projects, it's 33% of interest. For others, it's 50% of interest. These particular bands are eligible for 33% interest subsidy. We expect a total interest cost for the transaction to be around 2.5%. The pricing is scheduled for early in the week of September 23rd, and the closing is scheduled for October 8th. Are there any questions?
Okay, so we'll take them in order. This will be very similar. Resolution, could we have a motion and a second to entertain resolution number 2, approval of supplemental resolution 147, authorizing the issuance of the fiscal 2020 series second general resolution water and sewer bonds to EFC. So a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
And this has a not to exceed issuance amount of $500 million. This particular resolution, the not to exceed TIC is 4%. The expected TIC is 2.5. The expected pricing date is September 24. Closing date October 8th. Any questions, comments on this one? Not hearing any. Any opposition to the proposed resolution? Adopted. Okay, resolution 3, can we have a motion and a second to approve supplemental resolution number 148, and then we'll discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Great. So similarly, the not-to-exceed issuance amount is 50 million, the not-to-exceed TIC is 4.0 again, the expected TIC is 2.5, expected pricing date September 24th, expected closing date October 8th. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Any opposition? Not hearing any. It's adopted. And resolution number 4, which is approval of supplemental resolution number 149. A motion and a second.
So moved.
Not to exceed 100 million in this case, not to exceed TIC 4.0%, expected 2.5%, expected pricing date September 24th, expected closing date October 8th. Any questions, comments? Any opposition to the proposed resolution? Not hearing any, it's adopted. Any other further business for the Finance Committee that anyone has? If none, request a motion to adjourn in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Opposed? Not hearing any. We are adjourned.